Hello everyone and welcome back for another Monday video. Do I shower before every single one of my videos? Absolutely. Do I wait until my hair dries? Absolutely not. So something I find very interesting is I am obsessed with Riverdale. It's not that I find it interesting. What I find interesting is the fact that absolutely no one else I know watches Riverdale. And so every time people are like, well, why do you watch Riverdale? Like, what's going on? Like, what is it really about? I realize that I have to then go into the weirdest explanation of a show ever. It's like comparing a money tree, something that doesn't exist, and how to plant it, create it, grow it, take care of it. It's trying to explain that, something that doesn't exist and is like impossible to explain, to Riverdale. Because Riverdale is impossible to explain, and right now I'm going to try and explain at least season 3 to you guys in 5 minutes. Okay, here we go. I just want to say this is the most, again, insane show ever, and trying to explain this is going to have a lot of spoilers and a lot of things missing because I'm just giving you a general overview of what happens in Riverdale. Mostly season 3 because that's recent and I can actually remember that. Season 1, a blur. We start off with Archie and Betty being best friends, neighbors. They've grown up together. Jughead, who comes from the other side of town, who lives in a trailer park with his dad, and they're in a gang called the Serpent. And out of nowhere, this new girl comes into town, Veronica Lodge, and Veronica is from New York, presumably. I actually think that this show takes place in Riverdale, New Jersey. She ends up befriending Betty. Archie and Betty have this weird thing of will they, won't they, in the first episode, and they figure it out. They're just friends, and they've always just been friends, so that's how it's gonna stay. Archie seems to really like Veronica. Veronica and Betty become best friends, of course, but Veronica's family has this really secretive past. Her dad is in jail, I think, at the beginning. Yes! While he's in jail, her mom is having an affair with Archie's dad. And then Cheryl Blossom, who is the crazy, oh, here she is. Cheryl Blossom has a twin. You think she's really into him for, I don't know, most of the series. Her twin died. How did it happen? We don't know. He was found in the bottom of a lake. This is coming right after summer break. I think they're starting their sophomore year to investigate who killed Jason Blossom. All of season 1. That's basically all we're talking about. Veronica and Archie like each other. They end up in a relationship. Betty and Jughead end up together in a relationship. End of season 1, some guy in a black hood, whoa, shows up and he shoots Archie's father, and it seems like he's gonna die, but he doesn't die. Of course, no one knows who the Black Hood is. So all season 2, we're trying to figure out who the Black Hood is. Also, by the way, Jason Blossom was killed by his father, and then he commits suicide. Trying to figure out who the Black Hood is. Betty and Jughead, in a relationship, love each other so much, become detectives. They are 16 years old. A very important episode we must mention is the musical episode when they're doing Carrie, which is insane. Someone actually dies on stage from the Black Hood. Betty is tormented by the Black Hood. She keeps getting phone calls, and Betty's like, I'm 16! Betty has a crazy, mysterious brother, a long-lost brother, and they think it's him, and it ends up not being him. His name's Chick. He's not related to them at all, but we think he's related to them for all of season 2. But then we find out, not related at all, just put up an act, not their brother. What we find out about the Black Hood is that the Black Hood is Betty's dad. You guys. Random stranger brother dad who's a serial killer who has been manipulating her through phone calls. Archie gets arrested. Why? Because him and Hiram is Veronica's dad, he comes back. He's out of jail. He ends up being really close to Archie, but then Archie betrays him and decides to be closer with Veronica because, he's 16. Basically, he betrays him, and so Hiram decides, oh, let's put him in jail. I can't remember why they send him to prison, but he goes to prison. That's how we start season 3. Archie's arrested. They start his trial. His mom, Molly Ringwald, is his lawyer. What? Archie ends up going to jail because Hiram, does his magic. Archie becomes part of this weird, in the prison boxing ring. People are betting on him versus other prisoners to fight and box each other until one of them dies. It's a juvenile prison. He ends up doing really well in boxing. He ends up escaping through boxing. Oh, there's a whole Jailhouse Rock sequence. You should really check it out. He escapes and no one knows who got him out. He ends up sneaking out through the sewer system somehow, and Betty and Jughead find him, and Veronica, and they all help him escape, and basically he's on the run now. He and Jughead run away. Him and Veronica break up. She then decides to run a speakeasy underneath this place called Pop's, which is their diner. A 17-year-old is running a speakeasy that sells illegal alcohol to minors. Well, legal alcohol, but it's illegal to sell it to minors. Jughead ends up meeting his mom again and his little sister, and then they actually all move back to Riverdale. Betty's dad is arrested because he's a serial killer, and Betty's like, oh, I have this darkness inside of me too. What am I gonna do with it? The whole point of season 3 is that's done. So it's like, oh, that person, that serial killer is in prison. So it's all good. No one's gonna die, right? Wrong. Everyone dies in this season. There is something called the Gargoyle King, and it's called G&G, but I'm going to say Dungeons & Dragons D&D for right now. It's basically a game where you take these fizzle rocks, drugs, but fizzle rocks, pop rocks, but they call it fizzle rocks. It's a drug. They take it and they die. They actually die. People are overdosing on this drug in Riverdale. It's a huge problem. All of these kids are playing this game, and then basically there's a flashback episode of all of their parents playing the game because they're the ones who created it. So it's like, one of them must be the one who's running this. All of season 3, Archie's in jail. He ends up getting out of jail halfway through season 3, but then is on the loose, and then Veronica and Reggie become a thing because he's helping her run the speakeasy that she owns. Betty and Jughead are trying to, be in love, but also figure out what is this darkness, and also who is the Gargoyle King, and how are all these people dying? Meanwhile, her mom joins a cult run by no other than Chad Michael Murray. It's called The Farm. People are like, oh, it's a spiritual way of letting go of past trauma. No, it's an actual cult. The mom is in a cult. The dad is in prison because he's a serial killer. Betty thinks she has this darkness in her. Her and Jughead figure it all out that the Gargoyle King must be Chad Michael Murray's character. Betty gets her strain and she ends up going into this cult, kind of. She tries to escape, but it's actually a place to harvest organs, and he takes everyone's organs out in this place, and people are like, oh, it's like removing all the trauma physically. No, he's literally taking out people's organs. This is insane. Also, there's a musical episode in this season too. It's Heathers. It is the most brilliant piece of TV I've ever seen in my life. It's the worst piece of television I've ever seen in my life. I've watched it several times. Cheryl is also in The Farm. Her girlfriend, Tony, is also in The Farm. Reggie and Veronica end up calling it quits, but then they come back together, kind of, but then they don't, because Archie and Veronica and Betty and Jughead all end up together at the end of the season. We find out that Betty's dad runs out and escapes prison. Well, he actually doesn't. He sets off this bomb in this, when all the prisoners are going from one prison to another and relocating, and he cuts off his freaking hand, so people think he died because they find his hand. He's still the Black Hood, and the Gargoyle King, we find out, is Betty's fake long-lost brother Chick, because they are being puppet mastered by Penelope Blossom, Cheryl Blossom's mother. This 50-year-old woman is ruining these kids' lives, is killing people, killing 16-year-olds, and the season finale, they all have to run through and do this last G&G quest throughout the forest, and if they don't win, then they'll all die. It's a 50-something-year-old woman manipulating these 4 17-year-olds. Basically what happens, they win, they escape. Cheryl escapes the farm just in time because she almost dies. She takes her arrows and her archery skills and shoots everyone down. Penelope Blossom escapes. She actually kills Betty's dad. Chick ends up escaping, I think. Unclear. They all win. Everything's fine and dandy. They're like, you know what, guys? Senior year is gonna be great. Clink milkshake glasses. They all end up going to a flash forward of senior year spring, and it's Veronica, Betty, and Archie with Jughead's beanie, because it's something that he wears in every episode. And they're like, we have to burn this. We have to burn everything. No one can know about this night. After we graduate, we will never speak ever again. No one will speak. We'll just go on casually and everything will be fine until we graduate, and then nothing. So it makes it believe that they killed Jughead. But what I think is they're kind of in a mess. They're being run out of town, and Jughead actually helps kill someone, or by accident kill someone, and so he has to flee, and so they're like, we have to burn all evidence that we know where Jughead is, where all of his clothes are, and so that's what I think happened. We also find out that Betty's mom wasn't in the cult after all. She's a member of the FBI, and was looking at Chad Michael Murray's character as FBI's like 10 Most Wanted and was manipulating him the whole time. Oh, he's married to her, by the way. That happens in the cult. The FBI agent is actually the real long-lost brother of Betty, who is also the long-lost brother of Jughead, because he is Betty's mom and Jughead's dad's baby. I just want you to remember where we started and where we ended up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know if that's possible for me to cut that down into 5 minutes. I'm gonna hope it's less than 10. I hope you enjoyed this. Like this video if you liked it. Comment down below the craziest things you think are happening on Riverdale. If you watch Riverdale, because if you do, I'd like to talk about it with you, because how insane is this show? Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, because I post a video every single Monday. Alright, boom boom, bye!